All right, I have Steven Peterson on. He was supposed to be fighting on UFC Norfolk, but unfortunately had to pull out. But since this is the first time you're coming on the show, the first question I want to ask you is just how did you get into MMA initially?
Initially, I started fighting in high school. I got in a lot of street fights growing up. I grew up in Los Angeles, so it was kind of just one of those things where once I saw, the UFC coming up, WEC, it was a sport, and it was something I could look forward to doing in the future, something I can make a living doing.
Yeah. So, first things first, let's address that elephant in the room. You had to pull out of your next fight. So, talk about what happened, why you had to pull out and all that.
So basically, I've been having issues with my elbow here for quite some time. Just been fighting through it. The doctors chalked it up to tendonitis and, would say different things. Say, oh, you probably hyperextended it or something. It had turned out later on, it had continued to get worse from camp to camp and fight to fight. And then it became a real problem at the beginning of this camp. My first sparring session, my elbow locked up. I wasn't able to extend it for a few days, so I went and got an MRI and some x-rays, and it turned out there was a bone chip floating around in my joint, and they said we got to go take it out. It's just getting worse and worse. So so we had to schedule surgery right away and get that taken care of.
Yeah, and it was actually the first fight you had to pull out of, man. So did that hurt your ego a little bit? So finally have to pull out of a fight in your career since you've had so many fights already.
Yeah, I never want to pull out of a fight. I've fought injured many times. This time it was just a case of me not being able to do a training camp. I started my training camp and it became an issue. Normally it would happen on later on in my training camp, so it would be just get my elbow loose, get it right, and then I can fight. This time it was right at the beginning, so it was I can't just go in there in the UFC. All these eyes watching me. I'm fighting some of the best fighters in the world. You don't want to go out there and not be able to use your arm. It could end pretty badly. So we had to think it through, and obviously wasn't an easy decision, but ended up thinking it's better for my longevity in my career. I want to be around for a long time, so if that means sitting out this one, get my elbow right, and then coming back when I'm healthy, then so be it. I'm in it for the long run, not just for right here, right now.
Yeah, and so with fixing your elbow, you think that's gonna help your performances going forward in the UFC? Was that bothering you in your other fights, or was that kind of a new injury that popped up?
Yeah, without a doubt. It affected my boxing, it affected my defense, it affected a lot of things, and I just, poker face, act like, nothing's wrong. You don't want to show it when you're hurt, so, I had to fight through it, and I didn't think it was as serious of an issue as it is, but it had been going on for so long, and then once we got down to it, it was like, every time, I take a punch and I block a punch, it's just jamming that bone chip in between my joint and causing more damage. So, it was just time to get it taken care of, and now I'm going to be able to, if all goes as planned, I'm able to rehab my elbow, get everything, on point. My boxing should look a lot cleaner. I should have better defense, and it's going to help me with my performances going forward.
Yeah, but I mean, so far you have, you've gotten 2 UFC bonuses. You've been really nothing short of entertaining. So really, it's just about finding that consistency. So you do think, helping this elbow, fixing everything up, will help you get that consistency in the UFC going?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. 100% healthy, I'm one of the best in the world. There's no doubt in my mind. Just going out there on fight night and getting it done, you can't have anything holding you back.
Yeah, and then so how long do you think you'll be on the shelf for, and how, when are you trying to come back and get in the groove of things again?
They keep telling me to take my time. Originally I had thought it would be a real short recovery, 2-3 weeks. They were supposed to go in and scope it out. Once they got in there, they realized it was a lot more messed up than they had originally thought, so they had to cut me open and do a little bit more in there. So now we're looking at about 2 months before I can actually get back in the gym and do my thing, and then it'll be a few months after that. So hopefully, when I get this right, 2 months I'll be back in the gym and training and looking to get another fight book.
Yep, and the fight that you did have with the Long Cruz, it was a good match. I mean, both you guys were coming off of highlight reel knockouts. I don't know if you saw his flying knee knockout, but yeah. So is that one you want to run back, or are you trying to move on to bigger and better things, since you are more of a veteran than him in the sport and everything?
Yeah, that's kind of up to the UFC at this point. That fight, depending on what happens on was it February 29th?
Yeah.
He's a debuter, so say he goes out there and loses, then it makes no sense to fight him. Maybe I fight the guy that beats him, or maybe I fight somebody else that's a veteran in the sport. I want to move up. I don't want to be a gatekeeper and just keep fighting these debuters. That would be my first debuter, but I don't want to be that guy that just keeps fighting these new cats. I want to fight the old guys with the big names and continue to grow my name in the sport and work my way up the ranks.
Yeah, I mean, you actually have fought some pretty big names already, though, with Luis Pena, Bruce Leroy. I actually thought you beat Bruce Leroy, but, I guess you know how that goes with the judges. But, yeah, so I heard you talking about Kron Gracie, too. I mean, so that's a matchup that you're interested in?
Oh, yeah. Kron's got a big name. He's got a legendary name in the sport. He's been fighting his whole life, but his MMA career doesn't reflect that. I feel like that'd be a great matchup for me, or Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson I've been watching since he was in WEC before UFC had the lighter weight classes. So I've been watching that guy for a long time. He's another one I got my eyes on.
Yeah, that would be a sick fight. I know he's on the shelf too with that injury that he got in the grappling match or whatever. But yeah, both you guys will come back and. But yeah, so also, talking about the gym that you're at, Fortis MMA, you're one of the OGs at that gym, and at 247 it wasn't your guys' night, but Macy Chiason, she did go in there and get a win last weekend. So just talk about the growth of your team, and you have been one of the first members. You're wearing a Jeff Neal shirt right now, so yeah, talk about your team and how you guys been doing in the UFC and how you guys are gonna bounce back now.
Yeah, without a doubt, we're the best team in the world. We know it, we feel it, and it's that energy. We have something unlike any other team has. Everything's real. We all keep it real with each other. We're all there for each other. And like you said, at 247, we had a tough night, and it was kind of like a bad dream. We had gone into those fights thinking that each one of them were going to come out with a victory, and there's one thing after another, but when you look back, you can't take it back. Once it's done, it's done, and it all happened so fast, and all you can do is really reflect on what happened, what mistakes were made, and how to improve going forward. So we're still there for those guys. They're still part of the family, and they're going to bounce back without a doubt. They'll be stronger than ever. And Macy Chiason, like you said last weekend, she went out there and dominated her opponent, as we knew we knew she would, and we got many more coming up. So we're going to continue to improve, and you take those losses as a learning lesson. You gotta get better because of them.